Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday afternoon, which means actually it's Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. For those of you who don't know, DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week as we help each other go through life, coping with life in general. On Friday lunchtime, we talk about our feelings. Friday evening at 7 o'clock Pacific, we talk about life, coping with life. And then on Sunday afternoons at 3:30, we talk about coping with stress. And we welcome everybody to join us. It is our pleasure to have you join us and understand that we are here because we care. And it's important for people to know that. And by the way, I just want to start by saying, if you're watching this on the replay, this is the day that Prince Philip died, and I am certain we all give our thoughts and prayers to the Queen and the family for the tragic loss. He lived a good life, and he did his duty, and he did it well. And so from that perspective, I sort of have to quote that quote that you hear a lot on CNN, which is, may his memory be a blessing. And I think it's beautiful. All right, so hi, Jeannie and Jody. By the way, Jeannie is saying, hello, everybody. I went to the house today, and just so that everybody knows, Jeannie's house totally burnt down less than, about 6 months ago? It must be more, 9 months ago. And she's in the process of having it rebuilt. So she says, we went to the house today, all the sheetrock is done, making it look like real rooms. Next, painting ceilings and walls begin, and then the lighting and fans. We felt happy with the progress. Yes, I know that feeling. And for those of you who don't know, I also had a fire in my house, and I got back here, 2 weeks ago. So Jeannie's saying, 73 years of marriage? Is that right? What am I missing here? That is incredible. Oh, sorry, Prince Philip. Yes. Yes, isn't that incredible? 73 years of being married. And, and always stepping one step behind, or 1 or 2 steps behind. That must have been a very difficult journey for any man. In fact, anybody, whether it's male or female, to constantly have to walk behind your spouse, not be able to walk side by side. For those of you who are romantics, imagine never being able to walk next to your husband. That it dictates that he should walk a couple of steps behind. And I must admit that I always give credit. It's my personal feeling here, but I always give credit for Prince Harry for having actually some public displays of affection, which are totally no-no in the royalty. But I think in so doing, he shifted our perception just a little bit. And isn't it sad that Catherine and William are not allowed to show any public displays of affection? And I just, to me, it's like, don't we all want to see that? Don't we all love the romance? How do you feel about that? Let me know. And if you're watching on the replay, let me know as well. Because, to me, this is an important thing in this day and age. Do you think that they are more royal because they don't show any affection? Or would you prefer to see that normality? Let me know. All right. So isn't that typical? Just as I'm about to broadcast, my notes suddenly disappear. Why is that not connecting? Come on. Don't you hate that? Hang on, people. I'm not going to panic. I may feel frustrated, but I'm not going to panic. I want to go through, I've got two lots of notes, and unfortunately I accidentally put them in two different places. So bear with me today if I just have these little stalls every now and then when I try to work out where I put everything. I want to start with talking a little bit about joy, the feeling of joy. Did any of you have any feelings of joy this week that you can remember? And I would encourage you to keep notes ready for these broadcasts, because you probably notice that I make a point of keeping notes so that we can discuss them and so that you can understand that feelings, good, bad, and the ugly, are part of our life. Hi there, Nada. Nada's saying hello, friends. Resting up from a medical procedure yesterday. Thought I'd sign in. Okay, while relaxing. I'm delighted that you did, Nada, and we hope that the medical procedure went well. I had one this week. Can you see it? There we go. Guess what I had? My Dr. Fauci ouchie number one. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So first of all, the joy. I want to tell you, I had a lot of joy this week. If I didn't get to write them all down, and I may have some of it in different places, but one of my joys was one of my joys was building a television cabinet for my bedroom, because I don't have any bedroom furniture at the moment. Actually, I have some cubies next to my bed, but the furniture on which I'd normally put a television, that's not there yet. I haven't done that shopping yet. And so I have constructed this incredible television cabinet, and I know you want to see it because you like those sort of things, but let's see if I can find it for you. Oops. And it was just like, okay, you know me. It's like, I don't have a television cabinet. What am I going to do now? And then, of course, the next question is always, what do I have? Let's see if I can find a picture for you. And what I did have was plenty of boxes. So I don't know if you can see that. So I taped together two boxes and created my new television cabinet. Because it was my goal for yesterday to have one television working. And I'll talk a little bit about the other process that I went through. But and I want to tell you, my topic for this weekend is about pacing, how we need to pace ourselves to keep us, just calm, and to realize that we just can't do it all immediately. And I had this sort of moment where I was looking at some quotes, and I like this one where it said, life is a marathon, not a sprint. And we know that because Jody always tells us about that. Pace yourself accordingly. And so we're going to talk a lot about how I paced myself this week, and just to be able to get done what I have got done. And I want to make sure that you understand that just taking that moment to go, okay, hang on a second, I've spent over an hour on this now. It's enough for one day. One step at a time. I took the step. Now I can move on to the next thing in my life, and then take an hour at that, and then go, okay, that's enough, and move on. Now, that goes against what we were taught. Am I right? How many of you were taught, if you're going to do something, do it well and do it immediately and don't stop until it's finished? How many of you were taught that? Don't stop until it's finished. Hi there, Sandy. Good to see you as well. The thing that I have discovered was that whilst that is a very good work ethic, sometimes it is actually not the best way to get something done, because you end up too tired and you make mistakes and you end up feeling like a loser instead of a winner. Whereas if you go, okay, this is the task, I'm going to give it 1 solid hour of my time, and that means that I have succeeded in that task for today. Does that make sense, people? Instead of, just going and going and going, not getting anything else done, and just making a mess of it. Jody's saying, I was taught that, but it doesn't work in my chronic illness reality. Yes, and Jody, I'm going to be talking a bit today about my health and my physical shift that I've noticed, because that is also, part of this process. Jeannie mentioned that her house burnt down on May the 31st, so nearly a year ago. Wow. Jeannie's saying that 2 little girls live next door. I made post-Easter basket for them with chocolate bunnies and Peeps. Happiness. Jeannie's love is giving people, gifts of food. And so I just, it's lovely to hear that. And we all feel great about that. You know what I mean? It's like, if you have that ability to be able to gift food, I actually am quite sad, because the neighbors for whom I used to bake bread have both now gone off bread as part of a new diet. And so, that stopped me from being able to donate to them. But I still think I'm going to do an occasional one. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Jody's comment to me, in if you like, almost as a mailbox thing, because Jody wrote to me about something, and I asked permission to be able to share it with you, because it is about the joy of, or the feeling of joy. And Jody had a meeting this week with her pain medication person, or was it your wellness doctor? I think wellness doctor, that was it. Anyway, and what Jody said to me, I told her that I've been having the same main meal every day. You remember we were talking about what we call the Anderson diet, because Anderson Cooper says he eats exactly the same thing every day, so he doesn't have to think and he doesn't have to worry. He knows that if he eats that, he's going to stay the same weight and he's going to be okay. And then every now and then he can splurge and have a meal out or whatever. So Jody and I call it the wellness, the Anderson diet. So when she was talking about that, she said, I've been having the same meal every day. And she said, you've been motivated since day one on this, and it doesn't surprise me. This is Jody's about to have what they call the gastric sleeve. She first of all overcame cancer and then battles with lymphedema. And she has lost over 100 pounds. And now the doctors are going to put a sleeve over her stomach to reduce the size of her stomach and help her lose the next probably 100 pounds, which is incredible. But it's a really long process getting ready to do it. And it requires that she has a lot of discipline. And at the moment, she is at the stage where she is just about to go ahead and have the operation scheduled, which is incredible. She's done all the right things. Anyway, so going back to the wellness doctor, she gave me the A-OK to continue. Any protein is fine. She just wants it to be real food until the pre-op protein shakes for 2 weeks. She liked the consistency of our AC plan, that's Anderson Cooper, because it takes the guesswork out, which translates into less temptation from having meals ready and thus reaching for cruddy food. She said, give yourself a big pat on the back for making incredible strides that you have since November. And I thought about you, Sal, and Lauren in Australia. And I've never seen a doc smile as much as I did today. So here is an interesting comment for me. It must be nice for a doctor to have a patient who not only does what is asked of them, but exceeds the expectation. What do you think? If you think about it, a doctor's life is not easy. They're always, they've got 15 minutes to make a life decision on people. If you think about that, it's scary, isn't it? That, you go in there and within 15 minutes, they've got to decide whether the symptoms you're talking about are real, imagined, life-threatening, or just a blip. And also, they can then advise us, because that's a doctor's job, right? A doctor's job is to advise us of the possibilities or the course of action we might take. I always have to remind people, you don't have to do it, right? You don't have to do it. You still have control. I've spoken to many people who realize this later in life, that just because the doctor says X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that you have to do it. It means that is their recommendation. And if you think about it, there are some times in your life when you may choose not to, feel the same way as they do. They want to extend your life, but maybe you don't. And it's like it's a decision that you end up making. So we talk about the joy of it all, that Jody was able to have that conversation with the health and wellness person, but you look at it and you go, how must Jody feel? And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. How must Jody feel that, a couple of years ago, she was basically thought she was dying. And her whole mentality was set in that. And now suddenly she is doing incredibly well. Even though she's in pain, even though she's got all sorts of physical limitations, but she is living for the moment. And every day is a new day. And yeah, big round of applause, Jody. I'm so proud of you. It's really important for people to see what you have done and understand how big a shift that has been for you. And, as we go towards you having this operation, what Jody said to me, I think, you said 60 grams of protein a day was the recommended amount. Now, I don't know if any of you have tried to input 60 grams of protein in a day, but I did it yesterday. I did actually, it's about 64. And, I managed to be very low carb and, do all the right things. And it actually was not as difficult as I thought. And what I said to Jody, I want to see if I can, make that my new Anderson plan, where I'm going to eat, try and sort of work towards that. Maybe I don't do it every day, but like everything else, it's all about practicing. I definitely have noticed that I do allow myself carbs twice a day. I allow myself one slice of bread, and I can choose when I eat that slice of bread. I can either have it for breakfast with peanut butter on it, or I can have it at lunchtime. And then I have 5 Vinter crackers that I allow myself before I go to bed, my sort of evening snack. I allow myself those carbs. And it really has helped me to know that I can have them and sort of keep myself under control. And I'll talk a bit about that as well. Actually, let me talk about it now. I did do my A1C, Sandy. That day I had, I'd had my blood taken from my hand and I had my A1C. And I want to tell you that it was, I called it needle day. I find I do much better. I don't know about you, but I find I do much better when I sort of nominate a name for the day. So I know that's what I'm focusing on today. And, needle day was, I normally would only go and have one medical type appointment. I wouldn't do two in a day. But I decided I would go and have my A1C thing because that was already booked. And then I managed to get an opportunity to have my Dr. Fauci ouchie #1 on the same day. And that's what I did. I scheduled both. And I felt good for doing that. By the way, I did have the Pfizer vaccine. And I was happy about that, as you can probably imagine. I don't know why. I felt at my age having the AstraZeneca one could be risky. But I had the Pfizer one. And for those of you who want to know, I actually felt it going in. She said to me, hey, I bet you didn't feel anything. I said, actually, I did. But I said, I'm happy to have had the shot. That's the main thing. I'm happy to have had the shot. And then for those of you who haven't had it yet, after you've had the shot, they make you, I'm pretty certain it'll be the same in the States, but they make you wait for about 15, 20 minutes. I think what they're waiting for, if you have an immediate reaction, they've still got you available. You're not driving a car and having an allergic reaction of some sort. And if you're going to have one, you're going to have it within that 20-minute period. So, you sit and wait. And luckily, I was able to get onto my cell phone and play some games and catch up with some things. But it was, just peaceful, quite honestly, just to sit and do nothing for 20 minutes. And then I must admit, this morning my arm was a little sore, but I had been sleeping on it, and I think maybe that created that as well. Hi, Jonas, good to see you. So, for those of you who are in the States, understand that in Canada we're slightly behind you now in terms of the rate of vaccinations. I'm a baby boomer. I'm in my 70s. So I got my chance to have the shot this week. And so we are at that stage. I believe in the States, you're now vaccinating anybody over 30, which is incredible. So all credit to you for getting that far ahead. It'll be interesting, I think, to see the percentage of people that chose to get the vaccine versus the ones that didn't. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have a feeling that will be interesting. How many people chose not to have it? And if any of my viewers have chosen not to have it, let us know why, so we can understand better. And as I keep saying every week, or I try to remind everybody every week, remember that the vaccine is not going to stop you giving COVID to anybody. The vaccine is there to stop you being in ICU or on a heart or on a respirator. That is what it's about. It is to minimize the effect of when you do get it. Oh, so Sandy's saying where she is in Ontario. I know, Quebec, or Ontario. I never get that right, do I, Sandy? All right, up that that part of Canada, the eastern side, right? Sandy's saying we're at 50 plus now, and also in lockdown again, Ontario. Yes, I don't know why I always think you're in Quebec. It must be Isabel. Is Isabel in Quebec? It must be a reason why I think you're in Quebec. But you're back in full lockdown. Okay. And, that is sad to hear. We also have a spike going on. And I think that part of the reason is, of course, because of spring break. It doesn't matter whether it's in the States or Canada. I think a lot of young people got out and a lot of young people ignored the social distancing. And now we're paying the price for it again. Yeah. Okay, so we're pretty sure that Isabel is in Quebec, and that's why I get confused. I get you two confused every time. All right, so I'm going to, Sandy is on Lake Ontario, and is not in, is, and I'll have to work out a sentence I can say to myself. I will work on that one. All right, so now then, I wanted to tell you another joy that I had this week. And let me know if you had any joy this week, because it's important. Another joy that I had this week was I started to get calls from neighbors saying, "You wouldn't happen to have a spare box, would you?" It's like a bit saying, like, "Are you breathing air today?" Boxes is not something I'm short of, right? And so one neighbor came and took 3 boxes from me. And then later on in the week, I got another call. "Sal, you wouldn't happen to have any spare boxes, would you?" "Yeah, just a few." "It's a case of what size?" And so I sent some over there as well. So I look at it and go, oh, Jonas is in Alberta in Canada. And he's saying we're in the 3rd wave now. Yep, in Alberta. Yep. So we need to be careful because those variants are nasty, right? How about this for a quote? Everybody, listen to this. Adopt the pace of nature. And her secret is patience. Think about that, right? Nature doesn't hurry. Nature goes at its own speed. And I think that is a good thing to remember. Oh, there we go. Jody came up with an expression for me to remember. Thank you so much. Jody's saying Sandy puts her PJs on. Ontario. PJ is Sandy's name here. Sandy puts her PJs on. That's very clever. And on is for Ontario. Well done, Jody. Now I've just got to remember it. We'll check. Let's see how I do. And Jody will keep reminding me until I forget. Until I remember. Once you have committed yourself to something, pace yourself to the finish line. If you think about it, people running a marathon do not leave the starting gate going as fast as they can. What they do is they consistently run at a speed that is probably slower than a lot of other people, right? It's about pacing themselves to be able to endure the whole time. And by the way, talking about marathons, I've been quite surprised. I haven't done a marathon in the last 2 weeks. Marathon is 56,000 steps. But let me just see here, because that's actually brought me joy as well. How many steps I have been doing without even trying, right? Just part of my normal day. And you know that if I want to do a marathon, I know I need to do 8,000 steps a day. And on Sunday, I did 5,000. On Monday, 3. Tuesday, I did 6,500. Wednesday, I did 6,782. Thursday, that was yesterday, I did 8,352. Now, obviously, on broadcast days, Fridays, I don't do as many because I spend 4 hours broadcasting. But the amazing thing is that means that my steps for the week, last week, were 47,500 of the 56. That was pretty good, I thought. And this week I'm already up to 31,000. So again, I should be at a fairly decent number of steps. And I'm definitely hitting my personal goal, which is to do at least 6,000 a day when I am average, when I am unpacking and stuff. And by the way, when I did the math, because I do that, when I did the math, my average is almost, of these 5 or 6 weeks that I've been doing this, 6 weeks now, my average is almost a marathon a week. In other words, I think it's 55 of the 56. Pretty impressive. So if I have another good week next week, I should be able to bring that up and be able to bring that average number up to 56,000. I'm pretty proud of that. Don't mind telling you, I feel good about that. Brings me joy. How about this one? You must always be yourself and do things at your pace. And your speed is the right speed for you. And one of the ways that we can really tear ourselves apart and make ourselves really miserable is to compare ourselves with others. What is it? Comparisons are odious, nasty. Don't compare yourself to others. Just because somebody else can do something in half the time that you can, it doesn't make them a better person. It makes them able to do it in half the time, for whatever reason. But for whatever reason you may not be able to pace yourself to that degree. And that is okay. All right. And you need to understand that. Jody was telling me many times before that one of the things that she learned was she just cannot do things at the same speed. And so one of the joys that she has had in all her illness is to learn patience. And part of patience is to learn how to pace yourself. So I ask you all to think about that this week. Don't get too frustrated with yourself if it's taking you longer than you think. Life's like that. And by the way, if you should have started it 3 weeks ago to get it finished in time, you didn't. Do the best you can. How about this one? Once you've committed yourself to something, pace yourself to the finish line. But if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it's because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music which he hears, however measured or far away. And think about that, all right? We think about going at your speed, not somebody else's. And when you do that, you will feel better, all right? That's the whole point. You will feel better because you're going at your rate, not somebody else's. One of the things that felt really strange to me when I retired was that my sleep pattern evolved and my natural sleep pattern evolved. And that is that I actually don't go to bed until about 2 and I don't get up until about 10. Right? And it's not that I'm being lazy. It's just that's what my body works on. Now, obviously, that doesn't fit in with a lot of other people's lives, but I'm amazed how many people here in this community where I live, where a lot of people are retired, that they're the same. They don't bother to visit anybody before lunchtime because they're not going to be functioning. Interesting. Hi, Erin. Good to see you. So none of them. I got real joy this week from hearing a comment from my friend Yvonne. Sometimes the things that we say live on after our time. Some of you know that I quote my mother a lot because even though she's long gone, long gone, I still hear her, I still feel guilt when I lick my plate because the gravy's good, and quite rightly so, but always good. I still hear her in my mind on all sorts of issues, including my bad grammar now that I live in North America. I've picked up some really bad habits, people. But, what I found interesting was that how many of my friends, and that gives me great joy, by the way, how many of my friends will say things and right in the middle of it, and they'll say, well, Mrs. McLean wouldn't have been happy at all, meaning my mom, right? And so I thought this was so beautiful because Yvonne sent me a note this week and she said to me that she put one of those, things you put down the drain to pick up any hair that's down there. It's got like little spines on it. And when you pull it out, it brings up any hair that's clogged down there. And she said she pulled it out and it was, solid with hair. And she said, I could just hear you saying, hardly worth doing. Because that is what I would say in a situation like that. Hardly worth doing. And, I just burst out laughing and I wrote to her and I said, mission accomplished. Thank you so much. I burst out laughing because you're quite right. That is exactly what I would have said. And thank you for hearing me on that one, because it means I'm still part of your life. And that brings me great joy. Jody was saying, I was writing thank you notes at 3 a.m. last night, kind of odd, but it worked for me. I was wide awake and my pain was low. Yeah, use the time you've got. And Sandy from Ontario, because she put her PJs on. All right, Sandy said, I'm not retired, but being home with the kids for so long, I fell into the night owl sleep role. Yes. And it's easy to do when nobody's telling you what time you have to get up. Let me ask you this. How many of my viewers here on the chat, tell me about, has your sleep pattern changed as well in any way? Because you haven't got to get up at this particular time? Let me know. So Joel Nichols said, life on the road is very different from a normal day-to-day life. And sometimes that surrealistic experience can have an effect on you. You tend to forget that it's not real, how things are supposed to be. But there comes a point where you have to pace yourself and find a place in your mind where you can be real. Now, I want to tell you, as somebody that was on the road, I was a performer and I was a professional speaker. And being on the road is a very hard life. Everybody thinks it's very glamorous and we get paid a lot, but they forget that you get paid a lot for incredibly difficult. So I always said to people, yeah, I'm so glad everybody's so scared of speaking in public, because if they were not so scared, I wouldn't get paid as much. That was my logic. I felt very happy that people were so scared of doing it, because that's what put the price up. And so, but what I did have to do, and I know that some of you heard me talk about this before, was I made sure that I traveled with as much of my everyday stuff as possible. In other words, I would take the same snacks that I would eat at home with me. I would nearly always take some sort of craft thing to do. Why? Because I knew I'd spend a lot of time sitting around in an airport or in a hotel, on my own. And I would make a point of doing that. I made a point of allowing myself to watch a movie on the movie channel and pay for it, because it was like, let me enjoy this experience. But what I also knew was I'm allergic to garlic. 9 times out of 10, I couldn't eat a lot of the meals that were put in front of me because they contain garlic. Also, when you're a speaker, you learn not to eat certain foods because they will come back at you right in the middle of a speech. Cucumbers come to mind. Amazing why is that? Why do cucumbers make you burp? But there's certain foods that I found that I couldn't eat. The other thing, I used to take extra salt just before I started to speak, because it helped clear the mucus up. If I was running a cold or anything else. It's amazing. I don't know why that works, but literally I would put some salt in and just take some salt before I started to speak. So you had a routine and you paced yourself accordingly. And one of the things you knew was stress was going to happen. I think maybe that is one of the places where I learned to deal with stress fairly well. was, being on the road and having those experiences. But I did learn to pace myself pretty well. I always left for the airport 2 hours before a flight, and just a regular domestic flight. You only had to be there 1 hour before, but I always made sure I was there 2 hours before. I wanted room for a problem. You know what I mean? Because problems happen. Jody's saying, I got up early, willingly, just once. The day I was born at 6:21 a.m. That was before I knew better than to sleep in. Isn't that funny? I got up early once, willingly. It was the day I was born. I think that's a beautiful quote. So I'm just trying to get something here. So I had a tip for the day. Let me show you. Yeah, hang on. I've got to go somewhere else. The reason I had to go somewhere else was the thing I wanted was in the dishwasher. Here's my tip for the day. That's Doug trying to phone me. And that is, have you ever considered, when you're making a sauce, to use a lifter to stir with rather than a wooden spoon? And the reason, this is what I found. Okay, let me try and explain this to you. The reason is because a lifter has a much bigger surface area, okay? And therefore, if you are doing this, literally like this, across your bottom of your pan, you are moving a lot more than with a wooden spoon, which is half the surface area. And also, I found that having the slots there is forcing the sauce to, to be strained through the slots. Just a thought for any of you that might want to try it. My other lifter is totally square at the bottom, and it works beautifully. Okay, Jody, as usual, giving us some feedback. The reason that I used to burp eating cucumbers is there's a substance called cubinicin that causes burping after eating cucumbers. I knew it had to have something in it. And Judy is saying that my left knee is causing me to sleep poorly. It's still sore. And the chiropractor says to keep icing it. I'm sorry to hear that. What actually was the problem with it again, Jenny? Yeah, and Sandy from Ontario is saying, when I worked and had to get up early, I always had a crash day, even though I was getting enough sleep. My body just knew. Yes, it's funny how our body has its own clock, and sometimes we only find that out when we retire. Really weird. Jeannie's saying she hit the footboard hard on the kneecap. Oh. Pleased to say that she had an x-ray, nothing is broken. Wow. Jeannie's saying, I'm sorry, I wonder if BioFreeze would help with your pain. It might be worth asking the chiropractor. Yeah, I learned about BioFreeze from my chiropractor. And I found, funnily enough, that you can now buy it in a pretty big jar, as opposed to the roll-on one. You can buy it in a sort of jar about this size. And that really helps, if you've got a bigger area that you want to cover. So, and I'm certain it's a knockoff of the original product, but it's really, I've got it and it's really good. So there we go. All right. Anybody have any fear this week? And the reason I ask about fear is because I had some. Yes, Jeannie's saying he put something like that on after treatments. Yeah, you can buy it over the counter now. It's great. So it may be worth picking some up at Amazon or something. Bio-freeze, bio as in biological and freeze as in. I got a bit scared this week. Did you? Anybody have anything that made them scared? If so, start typing. The thing that made me scared this week was I realized that I won't be able to continue to build my own things much longer. That scared me a little bit because I am somebody who likes to do things like that, as you know. I've noticed even trying to get my earrings in now is getting more and more difficult. But I really noticed it this week when I was trying to build something, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but that the ability to be able to hold a screw and then also do X, Y, and Z, it was challenging for me. And that made me sad. And then I remembered that I need to have patience, and that if I want to continue to build things, then I need to continue to build strength in those muscles that I need to do that. And to, for example, part of my problem is that I have a problem in this joint, and I maybe need to put biofreeze on that joint before I try, to do anything, just to, dull the pain so that I can. But it's about the amount of grip that you have or don't have, that's really troubling. So I got a bit scared about that. Scared that my quality of life in terms of the things I like to do could be changing. So, anybody got any input on that? Those of you who've gone through that as well. If you have any suggestions or input on that, I'd gladly receive them. And how about young people? Freddie Hubbard said, I advise all young kids not to overwork. You can't be out there blowing hard. You have to pace yourself. I believe that we teach children to work too hard, right? We don't teach them, and I say that because if you think about how many of you were forced into competitive sports, right? And when I say forced into, the parents wanted you to do it more than anybody else. Or maybe it was, something as some other thing that you had to really push yourself for. Now, on the other hand, I also think that sports are a wonderful thing for us all to do, especially children, because it teaches you it teaches you a lot about human nature, and it teaches you a lot of other things along the way, how to share and how to be a team player and all sorts of things. So don't get me wrong, I believe in those, and I feel that they are really well worthwhile. But I also think that in a way, I was taught to move a lot faster than my brain or my body wanted to move. Isn't that interesting? Sandy saying, my mom had a scare this week, a scam as well. Someone called and told her that she needed to give her debit number because someone was taking money from her credit card, and if she didn't pay it within 10 minutes, she'd be on the hook for 3,000, something like that. Be careful of these scams. There's a scam on about getting your vaccine done. Be very careful of these scams because they are around, and You know, my attitude is I just say to people, I'm sorry. Um, if you are my credit card company, I am going to stop this call and phone you right back. And what I do is I do phone my credit card company. And I know that I'm just wasting time because I'm pretty sure by the time I get to the credit card company, they're going to tell me they didn't phone me. But this is the whole thing, which is be aware that the scammers are there. And as Jean so rightly says, scammers prey on seniors. Yeah, they know that we're old farts. Right. And Sandy's saying, thankfully, she called me while they were on the phone and they hung up. Yes. And Sandy, that's the advice that I would give her. Just tell her in her mind, don't give anybody your credit card information on their call. If they are the credit card company and they want your debit card or whatever, phone your credit card back, and check with them. And she will learn that, and I just say that to people, I'm sorry, I just do not give out this information. I be careful as well if you have PayPal. There's a really great scam on PayPal where, every now and then you're going to see an invoice in your PayPal account. Don't pay it. If you don't recognize, you go, why have I suddenly got an invoice in my PayPal account? It's because there's a scam going on. And somebody, I don't know how they get to you that way, but they do. But the thing is, if you don't recognize it, get hold of PayPal, and PayPal are really good about that, and just say, this is what's happened. Did this invoice come with your permission, sort of thing? And they say, oh no, we know all about that. It's a scam. Don't worry about it. Okay. And they reverse it out. Jody's saying, I keep getting emails saying that my credit card has unauthorized charges. I know it's not true, so I ignore it. Actually, I want to tell you something, Jody. I get calls from my credit card company saying they're unauthorized charges. And it's true. They will say to me, have you been buying video games online recently? And I go, nope. And they go, okay, that's what we thought. We've got a red flag on your credit card because we didn't think that was a purchase you would have made. So, it's so if your credit card has an issue with you, they know your number. They don't need you to repeat it. They know your details. And if they ask for your details, say, I will call back. If you've got a Visa card, I will call Visa back. What extension do I need? And you'll find out pretty quickly, that they are, the wrong people. They'll just put the phone down. So good, but glad we discussed it. Sandy's saying, oh, we did that to our insurance company. They called and the number was blocked. They wanted some personal information. And we said, I'm sorry, I can call you back can I call you back to confirm who you are? Yep. And that is the other thing I find. Be careful of that. Don't ask them to give you the number. All right. Because if they're scammers, they can give you a number and you'll phone it and you'll think you're clear. That's not true. What I do is I know how to find the number for my credit card people. That's pretty easy. I don't want them giving me the number. I will phone in and go, this is who I am. This is my credit card number. Did you call me? So, all right. And Jody's saying, in her case, the giveaway for hers was the email had different size fonts and spelling mistakes. Yes. So think about that. Neil Young said, I think the song Can't Stop Working. It's the constant work, performing and traveling. It gets to be a bit of a strain, but if you pace yourself, which I've managed to do, you can get on pretty well. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed. I started here 2 weeks ago with well over I would say I had about 300 or 400 boxes in here. You know, I literally am unpacking for the second time in a year. My life. I'm unpacking my life for the second time in a year. And I actually took stock yesterday, and I'll let you know, but I took stock of how many boxes I have left. And I'm actually running counterproductively at the moment. Okay, so now I've got some good news. And I've just took one step. You know, I always talk about that. If you've got a big project, just do one step a day if necessary. And I took, hang on one second. I took a step yesterday. Oops. And have I got it on this one? What I did, okay, I didn't put the picture in the right album, but what I did is, you know, I had this riser between my bedroom, and then it had like a half-inch step up into the bathroom. Well, I got them to custom make me probably a riser that is not quite as long as this lifter. In other words, not a short riser, but a long one, so that is a gradual slant up into the bathroom of that half-inch. You know, at my age, that could be critical. If I'm walking with a walker or something, you know, a sudden jump up, I can trip and fall, but a gentle rise is not a problem. So what I've done, the one step I've done, because, you know, that is what I was saying, is if you take one step, it's much easier. I've taped it all off, ready to put the stain on. And then I'll be doing that tomorrow. So that's all ready for me to stain tomorrow. Sandy's saying, the same day as the scam from her mom, I received an email from what looked like Canada Post saying that there was a package that needed some money paid on it for delivery. It was very convincing. Yes, always remember that copying a logo today is as easy as taking a screenshot. The other thing is, remember that if you do owe money on a package, that you can pay it when you pick the package up. So that is called fine. Just deliver it to my local post office or my local postal outlet, you know, where your packages can go, and you'll pay it there. Yes, Jodie's saying she makes her happy to hear I don't have that tripping possibility anymore. I'm glad that I got nasty, not nasty, but I got firm, fair, and friendly, going, that is an accident waiting to happen, and you don't want the bill when it does. You know, that's how I worded it. You know, it's just like, I knew that was an accident waiting to happen, and I was not going to have that happen. In terms of other achievements, did any of you have any achievements this week? One of the things I felt I did an achievement on is I managed to unpack my weights for my wrists. And I wondered whether they would fit around my legs. Because you remember Beth saying that one of the ways that she increased her exercise every day was to wear her ankle weights to work. And so what I did was I strapped them onto my ankles, and I put them on for about 4 hours a day now. And what it's forcing me to do is to use the muscles in my lower legs more. Now, again, I'm trying not to overdo it. I literally have a sort of period of time where I go, okay, fine, this is the time to put the leg weights on. And I'll wear them, as I said, for about 2, 3, 4 hours. After that, I take them off. But what I'm trying to do is to build up strength in my lower body, because that's where we lose strength first, our lower body. And anybody who is sick or been sick for a while will know that. And anybody who is older like myself will tell you it's amazing how quickly your lower body deteriorates. And unless you're doing work to constantly build it up, you will be behind the 8 ball a little bit. So do what you can. Jody, you started off literally, although you couldn't walk, you just did exercises that used your muscles. I'm thinking about, even Erin, I was thinking, I wonder if you had some of those big rubber bands that they have for exercise, whether, or, you could actually still, get those around your feet in some way, and then still force your legs to work a little bit just to create that. They make those special leg lifters for older people, all right, where they are an elastic band and it's got like different handles on it where you can pick up your foot. And so again, I just think that everything we can do to use our muscles, even though they don't want to be used particularly. Sandy is making another very good point. And that is, she's saying, if I hover my mouse over an email, I can see where it's coming from. And that is a giveaway. Yes, look for does it end with .ru, for example, for Russia? It's amazing how many of those, do, or, look at, it's a pretty good giveaway. Good point there, Sandy. I like that. All right, so Jody's saying, yes, that's right. Even the Wii board, that's the WII board, I can't stand on it for any length of time, but I still do the step aerobics sitting down. It all counts and it's working for me. Jody, one of the reasons I made yesterday get a television working day was because I want to hook up my Wii. You probably worked that out already. But that's what I wanted. I went, okay, I've been without the Wii for 2 weeks. Now, I've been doing pretty well on the steps, but it would have been nice to just put in a couple of laps around the island and make them up, just while I watch the news or something. And so that's what I wanted, was to be able to hook up my Wii. So number one, I needed to get a television working. Doesn't matter which one of them. By the way, I got the one television all hooked up. That was a major thing. First of all, unwrapping it all. Boy, they are well wrapped up when they come back from going through their process of cleaning them after a fire. I want to tell you, that thing was well wrapped. It took me about 15 minutes just to unwrap it. Then I had to put the stand on underneath it. That one has a self-stand thing. So I did that. And that took another half an hour to get all that sorted out. And by the way, you're probably wondering, how did I turn that upside down and put the stand on it? Well, that's what beds and pillows are for. I found putting my television on my bed and then I lifted it up with 2 pillows and then I could do it. And by the way, putting it on the couch was my next thing, to actually put it on the couch upside down, stand behind the couch and then put it that way. But I thought it could tip over and hit the glass. I didn't like that because I got glass tables. So I thought my bed was the safest thing. Sandy's saying, Sal, have you shared info on your bed? I want to put it on my wish list. I haven't, and that was totally my bad. However, it is on my list of things to do, and I'm going to add it a second time. I just didn't do the tweaks of last week's videos. My bad, but I will. And what I will do is I'll also put it on Facebook for you. How's that? So I'll put it on the video. No, I can't remember which video. I'll put it on Facebook. Hold on one second. Let me just make a note right now. I do apologize for that. My bad completely. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that, it didn't get to the top of my to-do list this week. I had great joy. I did something really strange. I decided that I didn't particularly like the new comforter that I bought. And I wanted a different one. Now, the words in my head are going, but you got one. And I'm going, yes, but my good comforter, my down one, doesn't have a cover. And there's one cover that I've always wanted to have for some reason. Let me see if I can. And so I got it. I wonder if you can see this. Yeah. Can you see that? It's got like pin tucks on it. And I just think that looks so much better. But as I said, there's Pat's quilt on there as well. But, I had to fight with my mind that, I'd already bought this one comforter and I thought, I'm going to use the other, which is a much cheaper one. I'm going to use that one on my futon. That's what I decided, because I realized that putting a duvet over my futon means that I can easily wash it and everything. Jody's talking about my bed. My bed, for those of you who are listening and you don't know about it, Jody, remind me to put the link on here as well, if you will, please. But it literally has a light underneath it. So if you kick something under the bed, by the way, first of all, it is high enough that I can put things under the bed. My previous bed, that whole mechanism was so low down, you couldn't really put things underneath, whereas now I've got a total free space under my bed, which is great storage if I should need it. But I want to tell you, it's so nice to be able to have my robotic cleaner, Clarence the cleaner, go straight underneath there and just clean up the dust bunnies. I'm so happy about that. And you laugh about the USB ports. I have two either side of the bed, in the bed. Literally, I have wires hanging from my bed. So when I go to my bed, I literally pick up my phone and I pick up the cord and I plug it in. I'm not using adapters or anything else. It's just like it's attached to the bed. And I didn't think I'd use the ones on the other side, but I was wrong. I do. Golly gee. I'm such a pain, aren't I? Well, I want to tell you that it is incredibly comfortable to use. And the zero gravity, it's got a zero gravity button. One of the preset things is zero gravity. But it's amazing at zero gravity how high it puts your legs. And it puts your head up a little bit, but it puts your legs up at quite high, higher than I would normally put it. But apparently what that's doing is taking the strain off your spine. Jody's saying there were never enough USB ports. Yes, isn't that the truth? All right, and that brings me to a little bit of a discussion about frustration. Don't know if any of you had any feelings of frustration this week. But first of all, Amy Winehouse said, I don't ever want to do anything mediocre. I hear the music in the charts and I don't mean to be rude, but those people have no soul. Learning from music is like eating a meal. You have to pace yourself. You can't take everything from it all at once. I want to be different, definitely. I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm at least a 5-trick pony. And even though she understood that and was wise enough to talk about it, she still ended up not being around anymore. So that is what happens. Be aware of how important it is to pace yourself. If you think about it, is there a reason why some people, such as Prince Philip, live all the way to 99? And by the way, he was just a couple of months away from being 100. And the reason is because even with that very stressful life of being on show all the time, they do pace themselves pretty well. And I have to say that if you hear about most people who have to be on show, learn to pace themselves very well, because you will not survive if you don't. Jody's saying, I said zero gravity to Lionel, that's her husband. I was selling him on this. He said, Sal gave it the thumbs up, sold. Well, it's like to be able to get a bed and a mattress, and a bed that basically does everything except clean windows, that does a massage of your head or your feet or whatever. It doesn't actually sing to me, but it basically does more than I expected. And I got it and the mattress for $1,000. I used to pay $1,000 just for a mattress. So it's amazing how far we've come. All right, now then, frustration. Anybody had any frustration this week? Talking about boxes, part of my pacing myself is I only have to unpack 2 boxes a day, but I make it a ritual that I take 2 boxes and I empty them out on my bed or on this area here, right? And I find that doing that, I know that I will clear everything off my bed before I go to bed. All right, that's a good place for me to put stuff. Of course, now I don't want to put it on the white. I'll put the quilt down first and then put everything on it. And then I find here that I am inclined to clean this all up, before I go to bed. So, and I've also got my big freezer halfway between this front area of the house, which is the kitchen, dining room, living room. And then there's the sort of center area, which is the craft area. And then the back area is my bedroom and the spare bedroom. And so what I find is that I put stuff on the freezer, which is in that craft area. And I find each time I I walk past it, I'll pick something up and go and put it away, just one. And then as I'm going back, I know that I'm going to go down that way to go use the washroom. So as I go by, I go, oh yeah, I know where that goes. And I pick it up and go put it away. And then on the way back, I see something that belongs in the front area and I pick that up. Hi, Nash. And Nash is saying, hi, Mama Sal. I just woke up from a nap. I nearly missed out. I haven't eaten yet, but I just had to tune in. Well, we're pleased to hear you and see you all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. And you know something, Nyasha, you've been on my mind, and I hope you've been feeling a bit better this week. And it's great that you are back here and to get some support, because one of the things I really wanted to make sure you know is the best way to help yourself is to reach out and be amongst people who care. Okay. So the 2 boxes a day is pacing myself, right? I don't have to empty every box in the house this week. I just need to empty 2 boxes a day. Here's my problem. I am also replacing things, right? I'm certain you understand that. Things that, everything that was in my bathroom and most of what was in my bedroom in some ways has to be replaced. And so what I'm finding is I may be emptying 2 boxes a day of the stuff that the packers had, but I'm getting more than 2 boxes a day from Amazon. So the truth is, it is not 2 boxes a day, it is 2 of the packed boxes of the house, because I know I'm going to open up the Amazon boxes. They're fun, right? You want to know what I got this week? They're fun. So, and I'm going to open those without a problem and put those things away. Interesting. Jeannie's saying you mentioned white versus off-white in the bathroom. We found a commode in off-white. It was over twice as much money, so we went for the white. Yep. It's those sort of decisions are very difficult to make. And by the way, I have not heard a word from them about my shower fixtures. I'm going to start. I've been a bit busy, but any minute now they're going to start panicking because they're going to want their money, and they won't get their money until I sign off. And I've got a list growing of things I want them to deal with. You see the little pink sticker on my oven there? Can you see that? That's because it got scratched. Nasha's saying, by the way, I got over my issue. I realized that I can handle stress a lot better than before. So yes, I'm okay now. And now I'm reading and listening to quotes about dealing with life. Yeah, you're learning. Well done. Okay, so you understand the ongoing battle, because as fast as I unpack, I'm buying stuff. My surprise this week was I got I needed a new dustbuster. And I thought this one was going to be a big one, but it isn't. It's small. It's actually way smaller than I expected it to be, almost twice this size. And I was a bit disappointed until I used it. It may be small, but boy, is it effective. And it came with all sorts of little gadgets, It's for using in the car. And it also came with getting in crevices. But let me tell you, I have got this in my kitchen because it is the greatest thing for cleaning up. You suddenly drop stuff in here. Perfect. Or maybe you realize this as well. You open up a drawer and you've got a little bit here. So smaller than I expected, but really happy with it. And it's got a washable filter, which is important. So you just pull this out and just empty this. So that's nice and easy as well. Washable filter is always a good thing, people. So non-washable ones means you've got to buy new ones. So washable filter is high on my list. That was one thing I got. I'm a little bit embarrassed because I did get a couple of things that I really didn't have to get, but I wanted to get. One was the new duvet cover, but you want to see the one I'm really happy with. Let's see if I can bring it out. I don't know why I've always wanted one of these, but I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna turn the light off so you can see it. It's like a little indoor garden thing. And I've got some parsley growing. I've got some tomatoes growing. It's really funny. I didn't buy the Aero Garden, although these pods that I got in here, some of them are Aero Garden ones. But what I found was that there was another manufacturer who made this particular one, and that's what I got. But when I got it, it didn't have any seeds. It had the little these little doodads that fit in here, but no seeds. And I don't know about you, but What was the point? I wanted the herb garden. Yeah, it's like an aero garden. And this one was called a moisture land, and I'm not getting paid by them. But I really like, and you can, as these grow, you can lift this up. Okay, see that? So, but what I thought was, let me see how well it works. And so other people can see if you really want to have a living herb garden, today you can do it. And again, the price of these things are getting to be much better. So I've now ordered up some more seeds. Sandy's saying, yes, love it. My husband gave me one a couple of years ago and I chickened out and we returned it. I regret it now because they're double the price. I nearly bought one for cherry tomatoes. Guess what, Jody? Turn the light out so you can see. Those two center ones, cherry tomatoes. And what I want to see is, can the tomatoes grow while still in that system? Can I actually pluck tomatoes off it? All right, so Jean is saying we ordered a microwave exactly like the one we lost. It will arrive Thursday. I wanted one on the counter that has that I could reach. Okay, good idea. Better the ones you know than the ones you don't. I've got in here from the aero pods that I had, the aero garden pods. This is curly parsley. I'm not sure if this will grow, but that's also a cherry tomato. This is Thai basil. Those two are a cherry tomato. Oh, you can't see this. Sorry, people. And so what I'm doing is I've ordered up some other herbs just so that I can have the full range. Now, here's the thing. Did I need it in my life? And, I think about that. And then I said to myself, will it bring you joy? Right? Will it bring me joy? Nyash is saying, does it have a stick? I bought one years ago, a 3-in-1. One of these, 3-in-1, hand, floor, and something else. I placed the stick in mine and can't remove the stick. So sadly, I can't use that feature anymore. Yes, some of those can be difficult. Word of warning, though. Here's what I do want to tell you. I'm falling into what I call the $100 trap. Have you noticed how many things today are priced around about $100? Now, here's another thing that I felt guilty about, and I'll explain why. I bought a small, again, smaller than the other one I had, a rechargeable screwdriver. Why? I have not as yet unpacked my screwdriver, and as you know, it is painful for me with my arthritis to use screwdrivers. And I am busy building stuff, and guess what I need? I need screwdrivers. And I went, something? I think this was $50. I'm going to spend the money. And, even if I find my original one, this one is smaller than the original one, so I can now have one each end of the house if I need. But I'm literally starting to think like that. I've got another problem that I've hit where I need my drill. My drill is somewhere in my storage locker. I've got this big storage shed behind my house. It is probably 40 feet long in that shed by about 15. And somewhere in there, in one of the boxes, is my drill. But it's a drill that I've had for 30 years. And you know what I did this week? I ordered a new drill. One of those ones with a rechargeable battery on it. I think it comes tomorrow. So you'll be able to see it. But you understand, it's like, and I bought it's pink, people. So do I feel badly? Yes. A part of me feels badly because I know somewhere in my shed I have got that drill. But you know something, other part goes, I know it's a good drill, but it's the old-fashioned one. Yeah, you have to plug it in, and it's heavy. And I'm not sure I can use it anymore. Scared. All right, so let me see here. Sandy's saying, I went on Facebook and joined all the groups. I got myself completely overwhelmed. The groups on what? Sandy, just remind me, is that on the Error Garden thing? I want to see, I'm going to put a P in there. I want to know, can I make a baby? You know me, it's all going to be about experiments. So I'm actually, quite looking forward to seeing how it all develops. And I do know that it's not going to be a waste for me. It's a great way to propagate seeds. And by the way, are any of you interested in another way I found before I decided to get that one? These little condiment cups, like this? I just take two together. I just put some Scotch tape here and put my seedlings in, and that's some kale that is growing. But it's like a mini greenhouse. And what I do is every morning I come and I put a little bit of I've been sifting my soil, and the last bit of sifting I do is with a very fine mesh one. And so the soil here is very, very fine to be able to get through that mesh. And so every morning what I do is I put another teaspoon of soil on top. So they're growing, but as they're growing, I'm putting another teaspoon of soil. So now the roots are getting stronger and the stems are getting stronger. But I started with literally just the paper towel. You can probably see it at the bottom there. Just the paper towel and the seeds. And then on the first day, I just put a little sprinkling of earth. And then as they started to germinate, another little sprinkling. And here we go. I've got some quite nice kale growing there. That brings me pleasure, right? So I look at the feelings I get every day in terms of pacing myself. It's all about a routine that makes me happy, a routine that doesn't overstress me. All right, how about this one? Your freedom as a writer is not the freedom of expression in the sense of a wild blurting. You may not let it rip. It's life, and it's most free. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to try it, because you select your materials, invent your task, and pace yourself, if you talk to any author, they will tell you the way to write a book is to put down 20 pages a day. Right? Literally 20, or even if you write 2 pages a day. It's a bit like doing the steps, all right? if you say that is part of my routine, you will do it. If you make it part of your routine. But most of us don't want to start it because it's too big a task. But like the boxes, I don't have to unbox everything. I just need to unpack two. And that means dumping it on my bed. That's unpacking. Right? Putting it away is part of the process. But, literally I take a box and I empty it. And, I've been quite fortunate. Some of the ones that I have opened up are actually boxes that have already been sorted. They were sorted and in a box that I had, and they just put the box into a box, and I'm going, oh, that's fun. I don't have to do any more. All right, so let me think, what else did I unbox this week? All right, this goes under the frustration. But first, let me tell you another story. It is garbage day today. So last night, as you can probably imagine, I have quite a lot of cardboard going on here. So last night, I literally had a box full of cardboard, a big box full of cardboard, that I very slowly pulled it all the way down, backwards, all the way down my driveway to the bottom of my drive, ready for the garbage. And today they took everything except the big box of cardboard. Now, I know you're saying, what? Yeah, you had it all there in one box. They couldn't just have picked it up and taken it? Nope. And you know why? Because I hadn't put it in the right way. Right? Their way. And so they didn't take it. Now, is there any point in feeling angry? And the truth is, angry is not going to get rid of my boxes. So what I did was I said a few words that were not polite, and then I went, okay. And I went down and did the reverse, and I very slowly pulled that box all the way back up because I'm not allowed to leave it there, and I've got to get it out of sight. So I pulled it all the way back up and went, okay, that does not work. And I think I have to bundle it up with string and all sorts of stuff that is extremely difficult for me because I don't have string strong enough. And so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep it in the big box and add to it. And then every week, slowly break it down and put it into the yellow bags that I've got for cardboard. And it will take a lot longer, but I will be able to get rid of it all. But do you understand, getting angry at the people who didn't take it wasn't really going to help me at all. They're not going to take it unless I do it their way. It was said that it is better to pace yourself throughout a big day, like Thanksgiving, by having something healthful for breakfast and something light for lunch. Nyasha saying, Mama Sal, I was to ask you, is having a routine a part of life? Yes, because I'm finally trying to develop and have one. I've never had any before. I actually find it really works for me, Nyasha. I try to work my day in hours, if you like. Have I done my hour of bedroom, bathroom stuff? That means, have I got dressed, taken my meds, made my bed, all those sort of things, clean my teeth and all that. So that's, I call my first hour. All right. And if that's done, my second hour is I play in the garden. So what I do is when I first get up in the morning, I don't put on clean clothes. I put on my dirty clothes because I know I'm going to go into the garden. And so then I go out and I play in the garden. I take stuff to the compost. I do a bit of weeding, get some fresh air, tidy up a bit on the deck. It's part of my routine. And then when I've done that, I come in and you understand. So I keep saying, what's the next step? And, I will do my next hour might be in the kitchen where I'm prepping food. And then my next hour, normally 2 hours, is unpacking. So yes, I think working with a routine is a really good idea. But your routine can be easily interrupted because, of your family living in the house. So be gentle with yourself. But what I find is I try to do a little of everything every day. I find it less stressful. So for example, but I do have, as I said, I do sort of give each day a name. Yesterday was TV day. The day before was needle day. Why? I had to have two different, I had to have my vaccine, number one, and I needed to get my blood drawn from for my A1C, which, by the way, I managed to bring it down to 5.8, my A1C. So I did it. Thank you, Jody. And Jody, I want to give Jody credit again. I do it all the time, but because of all she has taught me about things like diabetes. Because again, working to a routine helps you get your blood sugar down. If you know this food I can eat and my blood sugar is going to come down, it doesn't mean that I have to go on some sort of horrific diet. It means I just need to eat the right combination for a couple of days to bring it down. Nash is saying, why I ask is all I do is wake up, eat, have my midday nap, and basically that's it for me. Everybody handles everything else. Why? Why, Nasha? Are you not capable of doing anything? That sounds pretty... No wonder you haven't been feeling well. So here's what I would do. I would start with something simple and start saying, this week I will do one thing to help the family every day. One thing. Or I will do one thing to help myself every day, right? And then I would go, I'll do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Or I don't get to have my nap until I've done something. You see, this is about discipline. Sandy's saying, Sal, you're doing great, and thank you. And Jody's saying, you're so proud of you. I couldn't have done this. If you remember that when it was Christmas time, I was quite high. If I'd had my A1C, then I would have been in trouble. And I knew that I was going to do this test in April. So now I had a couple of months to get myself under control, and I did. So to me, I now know what to do if I want to get under control. You lower the carbs, you bring up the protein, and you do a lot of exercise. It's not rocket science, people. That's what it takes. Okay, Jeannie's saying she has a routine. She starts her day at about 5:15 a.m. I don't know what time that is, about the time I go to bed. I take the dog out, pick up my newspaper, read it, have breakfast. Today, York, that's her husband, had to take the dog out after she ate because my knee was giving out on me. So I iced my knee. If that is my morning routine, yes, I think it's really important. I always get up, as some of you know who are part of the fitness group. I get up in the morning, I make my first cup of coffee, and then I take my blood glucose test, and then I write to the fitness group and let them know how much sleep I had, what my blood glucose is. My routine is to report in every morning to let people know how I'm doing. I don't care if they don't care. Does that make sense? It's not about them. It's about me. It's about, am I accountable for doing that every single day? Now, occasionally I miss it, very occasionally. Jody, in the 3 years we've been doing this, how many times have I not recorded? Okay, yes, just saying, yes, I do, but they all argue with me once it's not done right, and I don't like that. So I actually stopped doing whatever a while back. And Mama Sal, I forget. I also wash dishes. Good. So do that. Continue to wash the dishes, Nyasha, and clear the table. All right. Take things from the table and put it where it needs to go. They must be able to give you a task to do, and just say you would like a task, or if you don't already do it, clearing the table after a meal, or laying the table before a meal. All right. So Sandy is saying, I myself am struggling with my blood sugars. My numbers will be higher in July when I have to have it done again. Yes. So, but is it because of what you're eating, or is it because of your body, Sandy? Because that is what I would query. By the way, Jody, that little sentence you gave me works like a charm. I can't see Sandy's name now without going, Sandy's putting her PJs on. Yeah, literally, I've stopped saying it, but I want to tell you every time I see Sandy's name pop up, I that's what I'm saying in my head. Thank you. So Jody's saying she can't recall that I have not recorded. I think there have been a couple in all that time that I, for some reason didn't record. And I don't believe I'm that perfect, but it's very few, because it's part of I do it before I have my first cup of coffee, 9 times out of 10. Occasionally I will do the test, but I don't put up the numbers until lunchtime. But, it's like, it's part of my routine. So I don't know about the rest of you, but a routine takes the stress off a lot of things. So Niesh is saying, I developed that a while back and I realized I'm still stuck in that, but now I'm trying to break it. I think that you could get into a bad routine as easily as a good one. The bad routine of not doing anything. Oh boy, I don't know what goes on inside your head, Nyasha, but I can tell you that I had a situation yesterday where my head could have rolled me big time. And I was trying to build something. Let me show you what I was trying to build. Okay, so I'm trying to build this television stand because I have a very awkward L-shaped fireplace area, living room area, dining room area, kitchen area. So this is like a U with a wall in between. And that wall on the other side of the computer here, behind me, behind there, is my fireplace, right? And so I know that where I had the television stuck literally onto the mantelpiece was great if I was sitting opposite the fireplace. But if I wanted to lie on the couch and watch something, it didn't work. If I wanted to continue watching something while I cooked, it didn't work. So I went, I need to get myself one of these and put my television on it so that it's got a nice little corner here where it'll fit in during the day. And wherever I want the television, I can then roll it to where I want it to go. Make sense? Not going to look aesthetically brilliant, but it's going to work for me. And that is a feeling you need to think about yourself. Please remember, this is your life. Your job is not to make everything look like a picture postcard, right? Your job is to have things that function for you. All right, let me just stop for a second. Sandy's saying, my body is changing. I was in the honeymoon stage of type 1 diabetes where my body still produced some insulin. I'm feeling I'm coming out of that, and now I need more insulin. You learning until I figure this out. We can help you. All right, Sandy's saying my normal food that I usually eat, the Anderson diet, you see, we started a whole thing here, spikes me and keeps my high for hours, even things without carbs. So here's the thing, your Anderson diet, you haven't got it right yet. All right, so that's the interesting thing. Don't give up on it. Just keep experimenting until you find what works. I found for me, Sandy, I found that for me, I can eat one slice of my homemade bread every day. and I can have 5 Vintner crackers. And Sandy's saying, oh, it was fine before, but now as your body's changing. So that's, it's frustrating, but it is what it is. So changes need to happen. I found, I don't know if anybody else has had this, for some reason with my change of eating, I'm noticing that my body odor has changed. You know what I mean? It's just like, I never really, I always put on deodorant because, it's part of my routine, but I suddenly found that I was really beginning to need deodorant at a way that I hadn't before. And I'm going, there must be something going on in my body, and it may be a good thing. Maybe my body is expelling more toxins. Anybody know anything about that? Anyway, let me get back to the story. Here's what my goal was, to get this built. Now, can't be that difficult because men do it. So I started, and I did really well. I just wanted to show you what I did, because this is about achievement, and that's a good thing. Part of my routine is to have achievement every day. So I started off and I built the bottom section. Yay! Took me over an hour to get that together. And then I went on and I got as far as getting that far. Now, that's 3/4 of the way there. Now, you see those feet at the bottom? Well, it isn't until I got that far that I realized that those long feet are meant to be at the front and the short ones are meant to be at the back. And I thought maybe the pole is not in the right way. Well, it was, because there's a special place for it to attach to. So basically, I got that far, and now I'm going to have to take it all the way back to the beginning to change that around. Now, did I read the instructions? Yes. And let me show you. And I remember it saying the long feet are at the front, and I'm going, okay, fine, so that's the front. But this is the instruction about that bottom section. I don't know about you, but that is not what you might call easy to read. And I kept looking at it, and I thought I was doing the right thing, and it went together beautifully, but it's wrong. Now, think about that. What feelings would you get if you had spent, that took me an hour and a half to get that far, and hard work on my back and hard work on my hands and a lot of things. So when I got that far, was I angry? A little bit. But your anger is not going to fix it. Anger is not going to fix it. You know what's going to fix it? An hour to take it apart and another hour to put it back together. But the good news is it will probably take me less than that, because I know how to do it now. Right? You understand that? I've got experience of putting this unit together now. I was nearly finished, for goodness sake. So getting it together the second time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that pole. I'm going to keep that pole because I can see what's front and back on that pole. And then I will do everything else. So it may take me another week to get that constructed. Do I care? No, nobody's judging me. I'm hoping by the next Friday broadcast, I'll be able to show you that I did it by rolling it in. Will that be an achievement? Yeah. All right, so Sandy is reporting, I need more injectable insulin. Yes, adjustments need to be made, and I'm doing it slowly, but it's very frustrating. Sorry for the confusion above. The body made some of its own insulin before. Okay, so no, don't be sorry. I just, we just understanding it better now. So the fact that you've got to do that there's no point in getting angry or frustrated, right? Because it is what it is. And what I feel here, Sandy, is it's okay. Now I've got to adjust a bit more. Not what I wanted to do, but now I need to start the experiments again. So Sandy, well done. And thank you for talking about it, because it's going to help everybody else that's struggling a bit understand that even though you were doing the right things, you ended up with trouble again. All right. And I want people to understand that just because you're doing the right things doesn't mean that it still keeps going right. Jody will tell you the same thing. All right. We have to keep adjusting. It's like an airplane. Janie's saying, oh, Sal, this is about the deodorant issue. I find this funny. I changed my deodorant to something more environmentally friendly and and see the same thing as you. Okay, so you see, it's funny, isn't it? And now, it's like, why did this deodorant that I've always used work beautifully before, but suddenly it's not working as well? And I think it's because I've changed my diet. Pretty sure Jody will have an answer on this one for me. Nyasha's saying, I'm finally realizing that my family consists of two different views. Parents have one, and then I have mine. They like doing things perfectly, while for me, it's just to get it done. I can't live like that. Well, here's the thing. You can live like that, but you are living in your parents' house. So that is the difference. So the things you do for you, you can just do it your way, but the things you do for the family need to be done right. And that's difficult when you have some issues going on. So can you all understand? There's part of me that does not want to take this apart and start all over again. But if I want the rolling cabinet cart, that's what I need to do. By the way, you're probably wondering, why do I need, I want to show you my second problem. One of the things I'm really working on as I'm replacing things is, what do I really want here? And, I wanted both televisions to be on carts that I could roll, because I want my television in the bedroom at the bottom of my bed, but I don't want it there all the time. I just want it there at night. And so in the day, I want to roll it back to another place and where it's tidy. Make sense? So I bought, I want to see what I bought. So for the one in the bedroom, I bought this little bamboo cart because I thought I can put the television on the top and the wee stuff on the next two shelves, keeping it all in one place. No problem, all the bits arrived, very easy to put together, except the first thing was put the wheels into the holes. Guess what? Here is wheel, here is hole, and I don't have the strength to turn it in there. So, and you can't put a hammer on it. So what I need is to drill this hole a little bit bigger. And then what I will do is, when I put it in, I will put some Gorilla Glue in there to make sure it stays in. But for that, I need a drill. That's why I had to order the other drill. Now, could I have borrowed one from my neighbor? Probably, but I decided I would treat myself. All right, so let's see here. Sandy is saying, it's the progression of the disease. I'm getting more injectable insulin is very scary. It's basically a fine line of it keeping me healthy or killing me. Yeah, that's a scary thing. Jody is saying, when you burn fat, your body produces a chemical that can make perspiration smell either like nail polish or remover or fruity. Isn't that interesting? Mine's not a pleasant fruity smell. No. and Jody's also saying the diet lowering carbs can cause that change in odor too. That's what I was wondering. All right. Yeah, Judy's saying, can I ask my male neighbor? Yes, I can. But what I decided was I want to I want to get myself one. And I realize that even if I could, I don't always want to be borrowing my neighbor's ones, all right? And so I went, okay, what do I need? And I actually got a female one that was pink. Why? It was lighter. You know, the weight of it was lighter as well. And that's what I need with my arthritis. And so I'm happy. By next week, I should have both televisions on carts. That's going to be awesome. So do you understand that not only do I have a routine, but I also have each day nominated as this is XYZ day, all right? Needle day, right? Yesterday, TV day. I didn't finish, and I took 5 steps forward and had to take 3 back. But I did most of it. My goal was to get a television working, and I did it. And Nash is saying to Sandy, don't think about dying. It make you depressed most of the time. I think, you know, funny enough, I don't altogether agree with you, Nyasha. And I know that probably surprises you, but here's what I say. Are we all dying right now? All of us. Do you know that I'm going to outlive you? Or am I going to be gone before any of you? Right? I don't know that. None of us do. So to me, thinking about dying is not a depressing thing. It's a reality. We're all dying every day, a little bit. Right? The thing is not to hasten it too much, and that's the difference. That's what Sandy's trying to do, is to get that balance where she gets enough insulin but doesn't overdose. Okay, so you're doing great, Sandy. Keep doing what you need to do. It's like Jody trying to find out how to control lymphedema and everything else. It's very difficult stuff. How do you control pain? How do you do all these things? And I am so motivated by you guys. Jeannie's asking, which vaccine did you get? I got the Pfizer vaccine, and they gave me a little card. And they apparently will contact me again in about 6 weeks for the second shot. So there you go. Any other questions before I leave? I'm hoping that you got something of value for you out of the broadcast. I look at it and go, the reason that I take notes and discuss about the good, the bad, and the ugly of my feelings are that hopefully it helps you process yours in a better way. Do you understand that I was all ready to get this constructed in about half an hour? It was pretty simple until I hit this problem. And that's not a simple problem. I don't have the strength to do that. And so then I think, okay, if I can't do that, what do I need to get it completed? I need a bit. That's in the shed. Yeah, but it's in a box and I haven't got that far yet. So what do you want to do? So again, it's another $100 or, you know, whatever I spent on getting another drill, but it's what I call the $100 game. At the moment, I'm having to replace a lot of things and they're costing me about $100 a time. But you know something? I'm alive and I'm happy and I've got you guys supporting me. And I have a really, my bathroom is looking a whole lot better. It's not right yet. My bedroom is looking a whole lot better. And by the way, next week, I will order up the units to go in the bedroom. Now that I've got most of the bedroom stuff unpacked, I may take another week to unpack everything so I can see exactly what I've got. And then I will order the units. I did it that way so that I can throw things away. I don't want to be buying units that I don't need. Yeah, Jeannie's saying updating tools is a good idea. Yeah, I think so. And by the way, I could be spending $100 here. I keep forgetting that I actually will get this money back to a large degree, right? They still haven't paid me out for the balance of my loss. So, or even if I don't, all right, I keep thinking to myself, It's not a waste of money. Yes, I'll just do it. And also, I don't need to feel guilty if the last time I bought a drill was 20, 30 years ago. I mean, hello, they have sort of got a little bit lighter and better since then. Niash is saying our country, Trinidad and Tobago, has the AstraZeneca, and I'm terrified. Been hearing many disadvantages from the BBC. Yes, but I'm pretty sure that your doctor will know how risky that might be for you. For example, it's a case of doctors will not tell you to have that if they think it's going to be at a risk. I think that all the vaccines have some level of risk at them, but again, I don't know enough about the AstraZeneca one. I know that if that's what I had to have this week, I would have taken it, because I think having 65%. I think on the first dose of AstraZeneca, it protects you up to about 65%. By the way, for those of you who know Lauren, she had her first shot, and I'm not sure what it was, but she had a bad reaction to it. Bad enough, and so did her mother, bad enough that her doctors have advised her not to take the second shot, to be happy that she's now 65% protected. I think I got that right, Jody. Anyway, so think about that. Would you, and is there a risk of some sort? I think we all take a risk in taking these. All right, Jeannie's saying, hoping that the ham dinner was marvelous. Yes, it was. Thank you. And what am I doing tonight? Tonight is just a regular, tonight is broadcast day. So, that's all I do on Fridays. I allow myself to do nothing else but the broadcasts. Nyasha, you're afraid of taking it. Are you afraid of dying more? That's really what you've got to look at and go, is there a slight risk? Yes. But there's also, a slight risk in everything that we do. And so you may want to think about that. Is the risk of dying a bigger concern to me? Because especially where you live, I'm pretty sure that the number of ICU beds and the number of ventilators available to you in Tobago are probably not that many. So that is a risk that you need to take. All right. Yes, Jody's just confirming that she thinks that Lauren said there was a 35 to 65% protection with that first shot. And we don't know which one she had, right? I can't remember her telling us which one she had. I actually got a card. They actually gave us a card to show that you've had the Pfizer shot, and you need to bring the card back to make sure you get the right one for the second one. Yes, there has been a mention of some people getting blood clots. Here's the thing, Nyasha. What percentage of people are getting blood clots, all right? Let's say that they've put out 5 million doses. And the thing is, I'm pretty certain Jody, let's run over time a little bit here. Jody, could you check what percentage of people taking AstraZeneca have had blood clots? Because, if it's 1 in a million, or would it feel different to you? Yeah, sure. But if it's 1 out of every 5, yeah, I could understand it. But if the percentage is only, 1 person in every 250,000 shots, it makes a difference. If it's 1 every 500,000, no, you don't keep me back. This is a choice I make. I'm an adult. I could close the broadcast before we answer this question. All right, so Sandy's saying, my appointment is set, but I don't know which one it will be. I didn't know either, Sandy. And so I was prepared that it could be the AstraZeneca. And I also was prepared, and that was my feeling, and that's a personal choice. Some protection has got to be better than no protection. And I'm probably way more at risk, Nyasha, than you because of my age. All right. So I was, more likely to have that sort of issue than you would be, because you are, what, 30 years younger than me? So, think about that. To me, getting protected to some degree was better than not. So, but it's a personal choice. So you look at it and you go, in life, we have to make those choices. Every day, people get in their cars and, so I'm nearly 40 years older than you, Nyasha. Every day people get into cars, and yet cars are the most dangerous weapon that we've ever devised, right? And we don't say, oh, I'm not going to get in the car because I might get killed. You see, and that's the whole thing. You've got to look at it and say, yes, some people have had blood clotting because of the. Okay, listen, thank you, Jody. You see, you are so good. Jody, Nyasha, Jody says 7 cases out of 20 million. The vaccine is not associated with an increase of overall risk of blood clots, thrombosis events in those who receive it. All right, the vaccine is not associated with the increase. Okay, in other words, people had underlying conditions already and probably would have had the blood clotting anyway. 7 cases out of 20 million, Nyasha. Does that feel a little bit less risky? Thanks, Jody. You changed somebody's life today. I'm glad we took the time. Nyasha, how do you feel now? Hope she's still here. And on that note, feeling scared is understandable. When you've read that there have been, the same thing. How many of us felt terrified when we heard about the AIDS virus? All right? You got to look at it and go, let's get the facts. Let's find out how we minimize the risk, and let's get protected anyway. So Jeannie's saying an excellent ratio. Get the vaccine and protect yourself if you are able. Yep, that's what I feel. And 1 in 27 cases in 20 million. Jody, thank you so much. I don't know how you do that at that speed. You're just a marvel. This is DearMamaSal saying, feelings need to be discussed. Nyasha is now saying, oh, I understand. If you're not prone to blood clots, it won't affect you. I can't say that for sure, but that's what my understanding is. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But do you understand that only 7 people out of 20 million shots have had blood clots? This is not like 1 in 5, 1 in 20 million. It's 7 in 20 million. That is pretty amazing odds. I am pretty certain that with the Pfizer one, I've got, it's just like, yeah, really. that is, have the vaccine, honey. Wait a minute, Nyasha. Nyasha's saying my mind is just slow at understanding everything. No, your mind is not slow at understanding everything. You just didn't have enough facts to make a good decision. You had read or heard on the BBC that people had had blood clots. What happens? You get scared. Totally understandable. It's not because you're slow. And that AstraZeneca, Jeannie is saying, is 96% effective. It is more effective after you've had the shots than you imagine. Your chances of getting really ill afterwards, having had it, very minimal. So you look at it and go, life is risky. But thank you for talking about it. Oh, 96% with Pfizer. That's the one I got. And Jeannie's got. So here's the thing. I don't know about the rest of you. How many of you want to thank Nyasha for bringing this up and Jody for doing the research that we can now tell our family and friends if they have to have the AstraZeneca? It's only been 7 cases of blood clots in 20 million. How many of you feel really good about having that information? And we would not have got that information had Nyasha not asked the question. Thank you, Nyasha. Thank you. On behalf of everybody, we will now be able to educate. And Jody, thank you for doing the research. I feel so much better. How about you? This is DearMamaSal saying, that's why I love doing the broadcast. I learn something every broadcast. I hope you do too. If I learned nothing else today except that fact, it was a great reason to do the broadcast. Thank you. Nyasha, I love you with a big hug. So, I want to say, this is how we grow. Look after one another, but please, please, please remember to look after yourself. And think about this, Nyasha. You may think that you are slow, but really what you are is magical, because you ask questions and that makes us all better people. People who ask questions are always willing to learn. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here. Thank you, Jody, for doing all you do to support us. And let's keep taking one more step in the right direction. Bye-bye for now.